So I want to cover this topic because it continues to come up. I get asked this offline a lot. And it's more from people that are like, man, I'm really frustrated because, I have this family member, it's my mom or it's my dad or it's my sister or my brother, and they will not take care of themselves. They're just continuing to gain weight. They're continuing to become more unhealthy and more unhealthy all the time. And I'm just frustrated with it. And I don't even want to be around them anymore. It's just making me angry. How do you deal with people like that? How do you deal with clients like that at the gym or whatever else? And that's a tough place to be. I mean, but at the same time, like, I understand it. I understand the frustration. When you're dealing with somebody that seemingly doesn't want to take personal accountability for their health in the way that they need to.
And they might not even know.
But I think it has a lot more to do about what they want to do versus what they don't want to do in taking care of themselves. But the bottom line here is it's a very common question. I get it a lot. I see it being addressed a lot by other people. And I think, this is probably a good opportunity to just kind of have a take on it and maybe give some people a little bit of a different perspective of maybe where we're coming from so that they might have a different perspective on how to deal with the obesity epidemic that we're faced with. I mean, we recently just went through a quote unquote pandemic, right? Which was largely, I would say, fueled by the obesity epidemic. And whenever you're talking about obesity, you have to tie in all the other things that come into that into play once you become obese. And obese could be, a relative based on how you're measuring that. So I want to be clear, there are different ways to measure that our modern medical healthcare system measures this. Yeah. One of those is the BMI.
Which is the worst.
Which is can be very...
mass index.
Because I'm overweight to them.
But at the same time, it still is very accurate in a lot of ways in terms of prescribing medication.
Most people aren't lifting weights.
Correct. Most people aren't used. So how tall are you? How much do you weigh?
So I'm 5'11", 185.
And what does the BMI say?
The BMI is 23. So 25 is obese. Right. So you're near, you're at risk. Yeah. I go to the doctor and I flex on them and let them know.
Right. So I remember I was 26, I think, finally, and I was coming off of my parents. I was just riding that train as long as I could. My dad had really great health insurance at work. This was before he retired.
Such a good.
And I was 26 years old as a max you could go at the time. I don't even know what it is now. So you went to so I had to get my own medical insurance. Right. And so, I'm like, I literally went to my mom, who's in the medical industry. Like, Mom, how the fuck do I do this? Like, I have to grow up now and be an adult at 26.
Goddamn, what's going on?
So what's up? So I go through this whole process, and part of the process is you have to fill out all these forms. It's height and weight. You're going to have to give blood and all that stuff and whatever else. Well, it comes back like you need to get signed off because of your BMI. So 26 years old, It's
just the start of it for you.
6 feet tall. 255 pounds, carrying...
That's a big boy.
12% body fat.
That's a big boy. That's a strong...
So on the BMI, I think the max I could be at that height was like 190 or something like that. It was like the height might have been 185. Maybe it was 200 pounds. I don't know. So it's like you're obese, right? Is effectively what the BMI is telling me. So I had to go to the doctor who I knew, and it got to have this physical, basically. And he walks in the room and goes, "Why are you here?" And I go, "Well, because apparently I'm obese and I need medical insurance. And if you don't say that I'm not obese, then I'm not going to get medical insurance." Yeah. He laughed. We had a conversation. He signed off. I got out the door. So I get where you're coming from, but that is not the majority of our population. The BMI, the BMI does not take into account muscle to fat mass ratios. No. But given where we're at as a nation, 40% of the United States right now is considered obese. Over 40, it's almost 42%. That was like the ranges the CDC was reporting for 2017 through 2020. Is it getting any better? Nobody. There's no science, nothing that can tell me that it's getting better. Here's my challenge with it, though. Like, if we go back, let's go back 50 years. right? Let's go back to the 70s, right? Let's go back to the 60s. Let's go back to the 50s. What was considered obese then versus what's considered obese now is not the same. They keep moving the goalpost.
Yeah.
The goalpost keeps getting moved. It's the same with when we're starting to look at like hormone levels in males. We're starting to say normal testosterone levels for a 40-year-old male, right, generally healthy male, is now much different. It's in terms of being normal as it was 30 years ago.
200 and lower now.
We keep moving the goalpost,
absolutely.
right?
To be normal.
Right. Why is that happening? Well, it's happening because there's money to be made from insurance companies and the medical system, and we've become very dependent on all those things. So I guess I'm just at a point now in trying to help people answer the question and how to help them with their mindset of how do you deal with the person who is just really upset and doesn't know what to do or have a conversation, and rather than fat shaming somebody, have an effective conversation where we start to talk about acknowledgement of things, some accountability to some things, and then responsibility to some things in a way that is somewhat caring, but at the same time, there's some things you just can't sugarcoat. So some of the things that we might talk about today might seem mean, right, to some people.
But they're all out of the best place possible.
I'd like to think that. I truly believe that that's where they're coming from.
That's my goal as a person. It's the reason why I'm in this industry. But
being upfront and being very transparent about things, I think is one of the bigger problems we have in the entire epidemic of obesity right now.
Because some people don't want to be prompted with, hey, you have an issue and
you're overweight. And
some of it has to do with the habits and the accountability, like you're talking about, on you.
But at the end of the day, there's no answer outside of the individual.